Good afternoon, Britain. Some breaking news just coming into us. The Shadow Home Secretary, Chris Philp, has been in Calais today on his own fact-finding mission. But whilst doing so, he says he had a knife pulled on him. Well, I'm delighted to say that Chris Philp joins us now. Chris, what on earth happened?
Well, I visited the so-called Jungle 2, the new jungle camp, where migrants waiting to cross the channel are camped. It's at a place called Grandished, which is in the part of Calais. It's in just outside Dunkirk, not far from Calais. And I was talking to migrants there literally about 10 or 15 minutes ago. And first of all, as I was talking to some migrants, another one pulled out a curved machete and started brandishing it, at which point we left pretty quickly. And then as we were leaving, we got pelted with glass bottles, and as we drove off, other bottles got thrown at the car. So it was a pretty nerve-wracking experience. There were only like 5 of us, and there are, I don't know how many illegal migrants, probably 1,000 or 2,000 in that camp. So it was a slightly unsettling experience, but everyone got out okay.
Well, glad to hear you and
your... That was about 10 or 15 minutes ago.
Just 10, 15 minutes ago. Glad to hear you and your team are safe and do continue to stay safe. Did you get any idea of what nationality this man with the machete was?
Well, in the area of the camp we were talking to people, there were 2 nationalities. There were Eritreans and there were Afghans. I don't know what the nationality of the guy with the knife was, but it was Eritreans and Afghans in the particular part of the camp that we were in. I spoke to one man and I said, like, it's illegal to... We'd seen him earlier, actually, with a life jacket, obviously planning to cross. And I said, look, it's illegal to cross the channel. He said, I don't care about that. They'd heard about the hotels that the government are going to put them in. They talked about the fact it's easier to work in the UK. Presumably that's a reference to the Deliveroo scandal. And these people, even though they were in France, which is obviously a safe country, they could easily claim asylum in France if they wanted to, but they're choosing to illegally make these crossings instead. And, I'm not sure people who, pull knives, I'm not sure. These people are on their way to the UK in the dinghies. And, we were certainly pretty seriously threatened just a few minutes ago.
This is, of course, it sounds like it's a relatively lawless area with very little police presence, with people brandishing machetes. I mean, why did you put yourself in this situation as the Shadow Home Secretary? Why did you sort of head towards the danger here?
Well, so first of all, you're right to say there were no police that I could see anyway in the camp itself. We did take a French security expert with us. But the reason I went there is I wanted to find out what was going on the ground. I wanted to talk to people directly and find out why they're choosing to leave a safe country, France, to come to the UK, even though it's illegal. I wanted to understand what was going on there and to understand what was... why they're making these illegal journeys when they are already in a safe country. That was the reason for going there. And I also came to Calais region, and I've been actually mostly more towards Dunkirk than Calais, was to see what the French law enforcement are doing. In the case of that camp, which one of the migrants himself described as the Jungle 2, there was no police presence in the camp, and there wasn't much police presence on the beaches. I posted some videos on Twitter or X earlier this morning. I was out on the beaches from 3 o'clock this morning, beaches where yesterday there were embarkations. The pictures on the front page of the Times, I think it was either yesterday or today, were taken on that beach. And yet when I went there between 3 o'clock in the morning and about 8 o'clock in the morning, when embarkations would occur, there were not French police on that beach patrolling. So I was also here to find out about the French law enforcement approach.
Now, this is not a new issue, of course. I mean, the question is, why now? Why all this interest right now? We've had journalists go over, we've had GB News journalists go over to the area and see this firsthand as well. This problem was very much ongoing throughout the Conservative government as well. Why all this interest now? And why weren't you so curious, a couple of years ago?
Well, actually, the last Conservative government in its last full year, 2023, did actually get the numbers down by a third. And we had a plan ready to go July of last year to ensure that every illegal arrival was immediately removed either to their home country or to Rwanda. But Labour cancelled that. And why are we now talking about this, everyone? Well, it's because this year, instead of the numbers continuing to go down, they have in fact surged. They've gone up massively, as you were reporting a few minutes ago. And this year so far, 2025, has been the worst year in history for these illegal crossings. They've gone up by nearly 50% compared to last year. Keir Starmer said he was going to smash the gangs. Well, he hasn't smashed the gangs. He said he's got a new deal that's going to be a deterrent. Well, I've just been in the camp talking to migrants that Keir Starmer's deal is supposed to be deterrent. And I can tell you this, having been there literally 15 minutes ago, no one in that camp is deterred. They are all determined to come to the UK. And I saw lots of people wandering around there carrying life jackets. And we know why they were carrying life jackets, because they're planning to get on a small boat, or now a not so small boat.
Chris, you're right to say in 2023 the crossings were down by a third. But of course the Tories were in power January, February, March, April, May, June and a little bit of July 2024. And through those months we saw an uptick again in the crossings. 2024, of course, turned into a higher year than 2023. The rebound began when the Conservative Party was still in office. How much control do politicians actually have on this situation? Or is it more absolutely exogenous factors?
Well, I think it can be controlled. We got it down by a third in 2023. We had a Rwanda plan that would have removed everybody who crossed the channel illegally, and that would have been a deterrent. If the people in that camp thought they were going to wind up in Rwanda, they would not cross the channel, obviously. Other countries have done this. Take the USA.
Why did it start to pick up again then under your watch in 2024?
Well, obviously the Rwanda scheme, which would have, I think, ended this, got delayed by the courts. That's why we saw that uptick. I would add, by the way, that this year is far worse than 2024. Yeah. But I think had that Rwanda scheme not been delayed for about a year and a half by the courts, we would have seen those numbers continuing to fall as they fell in 2023. But you ask, can this be controlled? Yes, it can, with the right willpower. We've seen America get their illegal numbers down to pretty much zero across the American-Mexican border, even though that is a 3,000-mile land border. Yeah. They have done that, and I was discussing that just yesterday.
Well, it's certainly possible. Anything is possible, and at the moment the public feel totally powerless on this. Chris Philp, stay safe, stay safe. We'll speak to you again, I'm sure, soon. Chris Philp there, the Shadow Home Secretary. The fact that there's migrants in these camps with machetes, at least one, slightly worrying about the types of people who are being able to illegally come to this country. In the studio with us, we have Christopher Hope, our political editor.
Just at the very end, he said, talking yesterday about America. Of course, he reportedly met J.D. Vance yesterday. So was J.D. Vance giving the Tories some tips on controlling these very long borders? And that may be informed why you got Chris Philp this morning at dawn pointing out the lack of French police.
That is very interesting then, because
we should get him on and back.
Well, exactly. I was trying to.
Sorry, Chris.
Well, I wonder if we can get Chris Philp back.
You should ask him that question.
But this is interesting, is it not? Because Kemi Badenoch reportedly hasn't met with J.D. Vance.
Well, that's right. So I was with Kemi Badenoch yesterday for your programme in the Isle of Wight. 2 weeks ago, she arranged to go there with Mel Stride, and a whole programme was set up for us. You couldn't really let down the people about the Isle of Wight to meet with J.D. Vance yesterday, when the senior Tories, we think Robert Jenrick, was confirmed to have met J.D. Vance yesterday, and possibly possibly Chris Philp too, but we'd like to hear more on that.
Isn't that an interesting point? Kemi Badenoch did not meet the Vice President of the United States, although she has met him before.
Yes, they are friends.
They've posted selfies together on Twitter before.
Must be friends.
But of course, he has met with Nigel Farage today.
Nigel Farage isn't confirming that. He told me last night he won't confirm either way who he's meeting in his private capacity. So that's where we are with that. But yes, it looks like we are seeing Tom Skinner. Of course, he's known as the sometime mattress salesman, a reality TV star, and certainly someone a star on social media. He's also met with J.D. Vance. It is causing quite a lot of chaos, by the way, in the Cotswolds. We may have a video, I think, of the scale of the motorcade of J.D. Vance in the Cotswolds. We can show you now.
I'm afraid to say
it was in.
We don't yet have it.
I was told it was there.
We will bring it. We will bring it.
It is It is a lot of vehicles, and compare that with our head of state, the King, when he travels.
How many? Are we talking 2 or 3? Are we talking 6, 7, 8?
It looks
9?
like 20. I mean,
20?
it looks like a lot of vehicles.
Wow, for a trip to the Cotswolds.
Viewers might be wondering why on earth is Chris Philp in northern France. Robert Jenrick's been there as well. We'll see more from him tomorrow. Both these two politicians are almost in a kind of attempt to beat the other one to France and get the story out from the migrant camps. Of course, GB News has had presenters in northern France too.
Yeah.
It is risky. I mean, seriously risky what happened there with the curved machete, as you heard there, and his car being pelted. We'll hear more from Robert Jenrick shortly. Does it work, this kind of MPs as citizen journalists? Well, figures found by GB News show it does work. So when Robert Jenrick went to highlight what he said were fare dodgers on the London Underground network, the numbers of people being arrested or dealt with since then, in a month after, increased by 60%.
Yeah.
So while it's risky and is different,
it can really highlight that issue.
It can, and you yourself have been cleaning tube carriages, Tom, haven't you?
That caused a bit of a ruckus at City Hall. Chris Philp will be back with you a bit later in the programme.